Well, I want to welcome you all here this morning. We have a great panel. I'm so excited. I have been wanting to get a really high caliber astrology panel here forever. Astrology is my passion, and each and every person on this panel, it's their passion too. And some have a little extra that they add in there, but the reality is to be able to sit down with astrologers and talk about astrology. It's kind of like another language for a lot of people, but we're going to put it in language that everybody can understand. And 2020, we couldn't ask for a better time to have an astrology panel. There's so much going on this year. Besides the new year, the new decade, the new era, the stars are doing amazing things. We have more eclipses this year than normal. Planets are going retrograde for long periods of time, and on and on. And so I'm going to let my panelist, my name is Shima Moore. I'm one of the co-founders of Conscious Life Expo. So I've been here every year, and I've met a lot of you, and it's so wonderful to see you again. I want to really recommend this water, great water, Starfire water, and I want to suggest that you do not buy Crystal Geyser water. And I'm saying that because it's from Mount Shasta, where I live, and they take the water and they pollute it. They put chemicals in it, it sits in plastic, and it's not Mount Shasta water that you want to really drink. So if you want Mount Shasta water, come to Mount Shasta, bring your bottle and go to the headwaters. Okay, now I promised my nurse, who is a water activist, that I would put that out there because I think that's really important. Don't you? Water is essential. It's our lifeblood. Without it, good luck. So I just thought I would share that with y'all, my little thing. Anyway, we're going to go through, I'm going to just kind of touch on each person and then have them do a little bit about what they do. We don't have a lot of time. First, we have Susan Miller, who most of you know. Susan's has her astrology zone since 1995, and she's going to be signing her calendar a little bit after this afternoon.
Next to the press.
Upstairs in the mezzanine. And she writes for magazines all around the world. So Susan Miller, next to her we have Kaylin Castell. Kaylin is a shamanic astrologer. She started the Shamanic Astrology Mystery School with Daniel Giamario. I have studied with she and Daniel. Enjoy the work very much. Next to her, Laura Desjardins, who's the founder of SCAN, Southern California Astrology Network here in Southern California, does a very interesting perspective with progressions and midpoints, and she was really helped me very much when I had a little challenge earlier this year. Henry Seltzer, he and I have kind of like crisscrossed through the years. He's been at events that I've done. I'm so happy. He does time passages software from Santa Cruz, and he is quite the counselor. Next to him is Deborah Silverman. Deborah and I traveled to Alaska on a cruise together and I remember sitting next to her and just talking astrology over dinner all night. It was fabulous. Next to Deborah is the Leo King, David Palmer. And what a perfect time in this full moon Leo to have David with us. And next to David is Alex Ransom, and she is a local astrologer, Coyote Star Astrology in Topanga. And we're so happy to have her with us. And next to Alex is Clarice Chang, who has a little bit different slant. She's going to be talking about Chinese astrology. And, the thing about astrology that I love, and she has her guide to 2020, the metal year of the rat. So do check her out, and she's speaking other times, as is Susan will be speaking today as well. So I'm so happy to have all of you here, and I'm so happy to have all you here. Thank you very much for coming. All right.
Wanted to be right on time. Look at that. The bells are going off. My short answer to you is please do the inner work that allows you to disagree with kindness. Please do your work to stay honest enough to be reasonable and to stop spiritual schmiritual. All these crystals and all the green drinks and all the yummy stuff we're trying to do, it won't hit home until we understand how to use our hearts one-on-one in an intimate moment.
Thank you, Deborah. Thank you so much. Right? What interesting perspectives. And it's all, really, you cannot make this stuff up. It is all as above, so below. So, moving on to the Leo King on the Leo full moon. Again, right? How perfect was that? I wasn't planning that. And here is David Palmer.
I was going to say, it's just a measly little full moon in Leo, but actually, it's actually a major one because this is the Big Bang year. This is the unstable world we live in. And it's a very important time for us to all realize that this is an anomaly year. This is not a normal year. It's not normal at all. We have a Big Bang. We have Jupiter and Pluto. We have Jupiter and Saturn. We have Saturn and Pluto. And what was extremely huge on January 12th, which was the exact conjunction of Saturn and Pluto, which unfortunately happened after the eclipses. I really wish that Saturn and Pluto came together in Capricorn before the eclipses, but they didn't. That means we're stuck still in that old world to try and move forward. But it was with Mercury, it was with the sun at the exact same time. And Mercury is the ruler of astrology, hermetic alchemy. And this is the most important thing for people to realize, that this is a moment in life right now where you have to not be the sheep anymore. Mercury is the ruler of astrology. It understands a neutral position. It does not get emotional. And we are in North Node in Cancer. Thank God it is getting out of there May 5th, because North Node in Gemini is coming. And this is a Venus retrograde that's going to happen in Gemini that is so rare because we just had the last 2 sets of Venus retrogrades in Gemini that were eclipses. They were not normal. You actually could go out and put on goggles and watch Venus eclipse the sun. That's a once in 120-year cycle. It is over now. This will be the first time since 2012, which ironically was when we had a Venus eclipse. We also had the solar eclipse with the South Node in Gemini. We have the North Node coming in Gemini May 5th. Then we have that Venus retrograde coming. And this is important because all the transits that are happening past 2012 are so important. This whole 2012 thing is not some sham. The Mayans were exactly correct. If you look at your life and you go pre-2012, it feels like a whole nother world. The world did end. And this is us having to accept the new normal. It's an unstable world. Uranus is in Taurus. That is the most fixed earth sign we are at. And guess what? We got to go through half this decade with it. So when it comes to your money, when it comes to finding some sort of security in your life physically, it is not going to be there. You're going to have to learn to ice skate. Cold as ice, Aquarius. You're going to have to learn to rely on people. You're going to have to rely on networking. This is not going to be a good time for you if you're just going to be fat, happy, and just chilling out. It's not going to feel that way. There's going to be always something that's going to lightning bolt you to find your ultimate value in yourself and step forward into the future with all of us as a collective stepping into our value. And it's so important because this Venus retrograde that's coming is finally going to be the first time since 1996 that we're finally having a Venus retrograde in Gemini without it being an eclipse. That was exactly the same year that Jupiter was in Capricorn. It was also year of the rat. We are coming back to a 1996 energy force, which if you look at your life and you look at that time, you're kind of like, whoa, what the heck happened in relationships in my life since 96 and to now? A lot. Especially since Saturn and Pluto met in 82 and 83 in Libra. Saturn was exalted. That means it's at one of its happiest, it's its vacation home. Why do you think relationships since 82 and 83 have been so crazy? All the way until now when they met on January 12th in Capricorn, because now you have to realize that every relationship, love-wise, business partnership, friendship, everything in your life has gone through the biggest lessons of your whole life because the destiny which Capricorn rules is now. But unfortunately, it's a destiny with Pluto behind it, with a south node, with Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto. That has not happened with a node. It was the north node, though, in 1282 through 1284. This is over 700 years that we have not had this energy come. And unfortunately, at that time, that is when the church took over and inquisitions took over. And everybody right now doesn't realize that Pluto behind this is actually a secret plan to put people into, whether it's a spiritual prison camp or it's some sort of keeping you as sheep. Sheep is the ruler of Capricorn. And you have to wake up now, and you can no longer just sit around and say that it's just this, I'm just going through life and it's going to be okay. You have to now step into truth. This is extremely important because Neptune comes to 19 degrees in Pisces. The last time that Neptune came to 19 degrees of Pisces actually was in 1692, the second time around, because in the 1850s we had a Neptune in Pisces, but that was the witch trials. The witch trials were 19. And if you actually follow every witch trial that's ever happened, even during King James' time, during the time when he had the book of demonology, Neptune, 19 degrees. Not Libra, not Pisces, but in another sign. We are in a time when the spiritual community is about to actually be with censorship and with actually being looked at as the crazy people. And everybody needs to be prepared, and everybody needs to start to step into their power and understand your value and not bail out on your fellow brothers and sisters in this world right now. We all have to stick together, and it's not about a fight. It's about owning the value of this. It's about standing forward and no longer saying, well, it's just mystical. No, it is not. It is way more than that, of course. It's beautiful, it's mystical, but it's truth. And this is the truth that we all have to embody and hold. This is a very extreme time as well because Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 took off in the 70s. They have now left our solar system. In 2012, ironically enough, Voyager 1, the CERN hydrogen, the collider happened in 2012. Why do you think this whole place feels like we went to another alternate universe? I might sound crazy. I am a 12th house sun, but I am somebody to tell you that we have moved into an alternate universe. Why do you think that Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter in Capricorn? Time is blown up. The idea of time, the whole entire Gregorian calendar system is a joke. It is not in alignment with the astrology. It is not in alignment at all. And we are at an extreme moment in time right now where if you are still following your life by Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you are still planning your life by that, you are not in alignment with Gaia. You are not in alignment with the sun. You are not in alignment with our galaxy, because what is happening on 2012 is the sun reached the galactic center point in the ecliptic of the galaxy itself. And what is so important about this moment in our lives is that the Mayans knew that this was a new world. And in this new world now, you have to be in alignment, because what is being proven is not only on Earth with the polar stuff that's going on, the electromagnetic pole shifts, every planet's going through it. We just found out that Uranus every day shifts its polar unpredictably. Of course it does. It's Uranus. But the main one is the sun. All the planets have been proving their electromagnetic shifts. The last one is the sun. Follow Suspicious Observers. He's amazing. Ben. And the scientists right now also just prove that dark matter is not between the galaxies. That the way that, I always think of a cinnamon roll for a galaxy, but it's just really, spun out like feathers. But the thing about that is they actually all reach to the other galaxies. There is no space between galaxies. They all interconnect. That was just proven in the last 3 weeks with the Saturn-Pluto stuff. And I think that it's so important right now because there's also, and I'm going to finish with this, we have the curse of I'm just going to let you all know that there's so much, but there's a major curse on presidents that happen every 20 years. And we are about to have this with Jupiter and Saturn. And I just want to say this, 2020 is a big year that we have to watch whoever is president, which ironically enough, Pete Buttigieg is 29-degree Capricorn, right around there where the Pluto is. Jupiter and Saturn were in Capricorn last in 1960 when JFK was He's a gay president. He's the youngest president that would ever be president. There was always an assassination or a death or a weird situation with every president that comes or deals with in power on those 0 years of Jupiter-Saturn. And we all need to be aware that whatever happens, that there is some sort of weird setup to disrupt the public. Everything that Deborah just said about what it's going to happen in America is going to be a setup. With Pluto and Saturn, they have been planning this agenda for a long time. It's secret meetings. And unfortunately, there's always something detrimental that happens or crazy or radical with every Jupiter-Saturn conjunction, a presidential election. And I wish I had the time to go into them at all, but it's pretty gnarly.
All right. Well, thank you so much, David. Well, aren't you glad you're here this morning? Yes. All right. And next to David is Alex Ransom, and she is Coyote Star Astrology.
I would have to go after the Leo King on a Leo moon. Typical.
Yes, the presentations were very much about the election year and the situation in the United States, and I was wondering if anyone could give a similar kind of snapshot, but about the planet, a more international perspective. Does that clarify for you?
Yeah, I would say, Uranus and Taurus is, again, if you look at World War II times, the buildup, we had Uranus and Taurus, and nations started, allies changed, treaties were broken. And this is a weird Uranus and Taurus because we have Neptune in a semi-square, which is a 45-degree angle, which is making it extremely confusing for people because they're not used to seeing it. It makes them hypersensitive. So the world's hypersensitive. The EU was also born in Scorpio in 93 with a Mercury retrograde. With Brexit that happened, which ironically, the idea for the Brexit actual vote and so forth to come out was with Mars retrograde in Scorpio. That cut off all that EU. So the EU looks like it's going to be falling more and more and more down. It was actually a flea market that was meant to basically be a vampire and suck everybody into it. And Britain broke away. And that's the beginnings of watching more. We're going to see a lot of breaking away. And I think it's funny with Russia and America. We put all of our astronauts in Russian spaceships to go to the space station still. But they're our most dangerous persons to be with, but we trust them to go there. There's a lot of things that we're not being told about, especially when it comes to that. And we also went into Germany with Russia during the aftermath of Uranus and Taurus. So watch your allies because they're not going to be what you expect or look like. And don't pay attention to the media with the semi-square to Uranus because they are feeding a bunch of lies.
And
Clarice,
I
thank you. Thank you, David.
Place. And what didn't get mentioned for some reason is that Saturn and Pluto are also joining for the first time in an air sign, except there was an exception in the last
Jupiter, Saturn, yeah.
Earth series.
Saturn and Jupiter.
Saturn and Jupiter. Is that what I said? Oh, Saturn and Jupiter is what I meant. In Aquarius, 0 degrees of Aquarius, and it's on
December 21st.
December 21st.
Yeah.
It's on exactly the solstice. So it's very interesting that we're getting a little bit more of an age of Aquarius coming this year.
I just wanted to say that we call it tropical astrology because we have the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn,
Yes.
and it's a constant. Doesn't matter. It's the only constant you'll find in the universe, ironically enough, is the planets, number one, and knowing where they're at. But number two is that on every equinox, the sun will be equal day, equal night. Every solstice, it's going to be the longest night or the longest day of the year. And that's where we get tropical astrology from. So when you start hearing all this sidereal Vedic stuff, they don't have a constant. They're running around having to shift it constantly. That's their only constant, is constantly shifting. You want to have one thing in this world, which we all don't have, is a constant. And that's what's so beautiful about Western astrology, is it's constant, and it's based off third grade math class with the map. Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn.
Yeah, it's just so great to have different points of view and clarification on things.
Well, I think we all agree.
No, I know. Well, that's what I'm saying. And clarification on things. Okay, but sometimes we can come at it from different angles. Okay, you had a question?
Hi, my name is Caroline, and I want to thank all of you for being here. This is really, really cool. And I want to specifically thank David for High Vibe TV, Deborah for the Star Community. Your app is like amazing. I love it so much. And Susan, I'm active members in your communities, and I wanted to say how important your work is, because we're out there watching you on YouTube and getting your email blasts and participating in your webinars and things that you do. And you really, really you help us out there that are, almost like part of your street team. We're all trying to amplify what's going on out there from what you're saying, and you're our teachers. And I just think your work is so important, and I just wanted to say thank you very much.
I was curious, with all the disclosure that's happening with extraterrestrials, interdimensionals on the news, the Navy disclosing Tic Tac UFOs, and I was wondering where that all plays into astrology, and even if any of you know about Project Bluebeam and possibly like a staged alien invasion, what any of you would theorize or know about that in terms of astrology.
I have one thing to say about that. Can I do?
Yeah.
Well, Aquarius rules extraterrestrials and technology. One thing that I don't think was mentioned is when Saturn comes into Aquarius for the first time at the end of March, it will be in a weak square to Uranus, which I find really interesting because Uranus and Taurus is the revolution of values, but Saturn is in a 90-degree angle to that within a conflict of interest. Saturn being authority in Aquarius, which rules technology. So one way this could be interpreted is those in power using technology to delay a revolution of values, which could also be censorship or privacy concerns or something involving something like Project Bluebeam, some kind of false flag or the emergence of those themes. But Saturn's only going to be in Aquarius. Shortly, it's going to go back into Capricorn and then fully go back in at the end of the year. So I think it's important to pay attention when Saturn first goes into Aquarius because it's just going to put its toe in and we're going to get a taste of the essence of that. It's going to be a completely different energy. So end of March, pay attention. When Saturn moves into Aquarius, watch the news, pay attention to what's happening on those fronts, technology, innovation, extraterrestrials, space, all that. You want to?
I was going to say that, especially about the kind of disclosure stuff and making sure that you really know that the information's true because it looks like a lot more false flag stuff. I believe there is a lot of extraterrestrial, but there is this coronavirus. There's stuff like this that is being used right now to be with all this South Node Pluto, South Node Saturn. There's this control thing and testing, even with South Node Mars that's coming in Capricorn. That was 9/11. You want to know. Because, what they're trying to do is be like, we have a solution, or look at these energies. And it's like, what better way to band the world together? Even Ronald Reagan did say it, that at the UN, ironically enough, that what would bring the world together, but like some sort of alien attack or whatever. And I think that, a lot of it is not, we all know that the aliens are fourth and fifth dimensional. They're not physical green people.
Yeah, if a being had the intelligence to make it here, they're benevolent. They have a high enough consciousness that they wouldn't be aggressive. So I think that if something like that comes on the scene, it's important to stay neutral and not reactive.
I think the alien we need to be worried about is 5G. When Saturn enters Aquarius, let's be honest, Saturn enters Aquarius for it's first time in 30 years. There's going to be a shift vibrationally for all of us, and it's going to enter into a Aquarian world, which is aliens and communications that happen at a totally different vibration, which will affect our bodies. So I think anyone in here that wants to do research on 5G, it's really important to resist because this will be the square. This is really what's going to be calling our name, is how do we keep ourselves away from that radical shift of our humanity as it moves into technology, and we keep our hearts open. Good luck.
And that is really an important thing because the Leo, the heart, the courage, and in Aquarius, we can get very heady, very cold, very detached from all the things that make us human. So for each of us to really tune into our heart, to really connect from our heart, that's a really important thing for us all during these times. Susan, did you have a comment?
Well, I think we were getting too negative on Aquarius. It's a nice sign. It's a good thing.
Well, we like it. It's genius. It's innovation. It's all of these things. But just important to keep the heart and the love energy in it. And this being a full moon in Leo, we need to touch on that part of it. Anyone else questions?
I just want to say that Wuhan City on October 31st initiated the first worldwide 5G network complete of a whole city.
Mm-hmm.
And so this corona,
But
where the virus
we
started.
can't tell if it's connected, No.
Well, but that's an interesting point. Okay.
Yeah, interesting is about it.
Pluto, Saturn.
I'm not buying it.
That's what I just said earlier, right? Difference of opinion.
I can't wait for 5G. I live in Manhattan.
Oh my goodness, really? Well, see, that's another
It'll help.
place.
Well, finally, we won't have drop calls every 5 minutes now, so it'll be better.
If we have our minds intact. Did you have another question? Okay.
And it's a beautiful energy because finally we're outside the bondage of staying limited to our families and to the villages and to the acceptance that we could only do what was expected. We are now allowed to do whatever we want. So welcome to the Aquarian Age, and thank you for bringing us here today because we are the example of the Aquarian Age right here.
Yes. And I want to thank you all for coming, and I want to really request that you really put it out to conscious life. Upstairs or whatever, how important it was to have this astrology panel. I would really like to see much more astrology happen here. I'd like Monday, which is the post-conference, to have an astrology track so I can have all these wonderful people back again and actually have more intimate things with us.
I have a talk tomorrow at 2 o'clock, and I'm going to get into the grand mutation, which will answer that person's question about the age of Aquarius in much more detail. There's something very special happening on December 21st that we're all going to feel, not just one person. And I'll speak in very practical, straight terms, not riddles, so you'll know what I'm talking about.
And I want to thank you, Susan, thank you. And I wanted to let you know that these astrologers, each one of them, came here. I invited them, but they came here because they're so passionate about astrology. They came here to be with you. They all made the effort, and I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Let's give them a wonderful hand. Let's get a picture all together, can we?
A picture? That's a lot of people. How?